Okay, hello YouTube! Another one of these 30-minute videos in the English, yeah! So, over here I have a light on the ground and I have a light over here and I'm going to put my camera over here and it's going to be gloriously awesome because as you see, now I'm wearing a different suit than in the previous video. I just did some Finnish videos for my Finnish audience, but now is the time to be doing some content for my English audience. My poetical stuff, it's so, Finnish geared, you wouldn't ever understand what I'm saying over there or how it's even possible. Because most of the Finnish people can't even talk like that. Like, it's just my own freaking thing, But I'm going to show you something. We are going to turn this light a little bit more bright over here. And then we're going to turn it like this. Like that. And I'm going to show you that, as you see in here, we have some really interesting brush strokes. And they have this edge. And how I created this, this took a lot of practice. Like, you don't even want to know how many times I had to try to create something like that. It has about, 4 colors, and you had to, like, move the brush in a very certain way to get that kind of an effect. And you have to also kind of vary the paint's thickness to do that. Let's increase or decrease the brightness a bit over here and turn it like that. Yeah, so that's about control. So if we, for example, like walk to this part of my room right now, and you see over here that the light is pretty bad. And why is that? Well, it's because this light doesn't point to me, and this light doesn't point to me either. So we could control the light over here by turning that so it points to me. But what I would really do in this kind of situation is that I would have another light over here in this corner that would kind of illuminate this part. But at the same time, it kind of creates this, interest when you have, this darker scenes and these lighter scenes, and yeah. So yeah, but I really want to talk to you next about in this video just that if you have something, how do you really kind of bring it forth? What's your strategy, or what kind of like tools would you use to bring this thing forth? And I would like ask, what would you use to bring yourself forth? And what would it be, like some special skill, or would it be just being the most loudest guy ever, or being the most colorful guy ever, or what would be the thing that would kind of bring you forth from the rest of those others, What I notice is that my own voice is very, strong. And when I open up my mouth and I don't talk normally, it can be pretty off-putting to people, because my voice, when I talk in places, nowadays, it's very weird because my voice is not any louder maybe than other people's, but it rises above other voices, I'm gonna show you how it happened. Do you freaking know that if you want to fucking rise above everybody else, you have to sound like a freaking steam train? I have the power and I mean said, yeah! Yeah, that kind of stuff. If you really want to understand how to rise above other noises, then you have to understand that your voice, for example, it has certain frequencies built into it. And if we want to build up the voice it all starts in the lower levels, you know. If you think about that voice, you can say that it's not very, you know, like low frequency. But you're actually wrong in that, you know. Let's start with this practice first. It's kind of like a chant, you know. Do you know the Om chant? Om Guru Om. It's kind of like a guru's chant. And then let's try that loud voice again. Do you freaking know that if you want to sound strong, then you have to get some freaking power from your chest area to your voice and increase the tension in the vocal cords? You will become so strong. Yeah, like I'm starting to understand. It's kind of like a building, and it has to be built. And what are the different facets behind every noise? And in what kind of order should you learn this stuff? Let's go for a little comedical guy. Do you freaking know that if you really want to increase the tension in your voice, and you have the really squeaky type of squirrel voice with you, and everybody laughs when you open up your mouth, you know? You get it? You know? What's the same with, yeah, I'm going to be blowing your brains out? It's the tension, you know? That has more push. And now let's go for something like a metal voice. Do you freaking know that if I want to freaking blow the shit out of ya, I could do it anytime, man. Yeah, what's the difference in that voice is that there's no push, you know? Do you freaking know that I'm a dragon and I crouch low, so low in my room in the suit? You know, it's different because there's no push. And if you want to be heard from a really long distance, you know, you have to have some push over there. So the best voice for that kind of situation, if you want to just be heard from like a long distance, you know, would be the stadium voice. And what's the same in the stadium voice as in this, you know, like a rebel or a punk type of voice? This, yeah, you freaking know, can you fucking hear this? I'm going to be freaking playing the freaking punk rocking this. Yeah, compared to this. Hey you people over there! Today we are going to be listening to Truth Detective Stadium voice. This voice is very strong and it can reach all the way to the last rows in the area. You know. Just let's try this while walking around. I want you to really like pay attention over here what I'm doing. This voice is really strong if you want to be here from the other side of the fucking stadium. Can you hear me over there on the other side of the planet? Yeah. You have to be pretty strong to be able to like try like you have to have a pretty strong voice so they can hear you from the other side of the planet, yeah. Fuck man. And there's a lot of, you know, that comes to play into this. And I don't really know, but what I notice is that just, you know, talking shit and just, you know, talking with your buddies, you know, and your friends and that kind of stuff, your girlfriends, you know, it won't take your voice to the next level. And usually it is the way that when you really start to like fucking use your voice, people just, you know, they fucking flee, you know. They can't handle that kind of stuff, you know. Like imagine going to somebody in the real life and being just like, hey, what is going on, have you been having fun lately? Yeah! You know, like it's such a thing that nobody does it, you know, but it's so freaking fun to do. And the fact is that if you don't push your limits like this, you know, yeah, like man, you won't ever understand what you're capable of. And fuck man. Then let's go back to the lower frequencies. The low, 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 you know you should follow. Low, 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 you should follow this channel. Then we are going to alternate between the metal guy. Man, I was just in the flu yesterday. So, low, low, low. I just had a flu yesterday and I don't have a clue. Okay, then the soprano. Low, low, I just had a flu and I don't have a clue. Give me the flute. That kind of stuff. Yeah! Be practicing that. And one of the things that you should also kind of try to do is to change those things very, very fast. So you can change your mode like that. And now when we are going to talk about rapping, you know, voices, it becomes very different. Because developing a rapping voice is not, it doesn't happen in the same way as those voices, you know. I developed those voices through like singing, you know, mostly bullshit. But you can use a voice like that for anything, you know. And it's one of the greatest things about this stuff is that it's not really about, you know, becoming a singer, at least for me, you know. I use this stuff all the time in what I do. And I noticed that it's starting to really give me a fucking edge, you know. There's a lot of YouTubers that don't, like, can't do any of that stuff I just did, you know. And maybe that's fine for you, but I think that there's a lot of, you know, unexplored ground over here. So let's start talking about the rapping voice. Do you want to be heard when you do your rapping lines? Do you want to sound like a guy from the Harlems or maybe from Bronx? Do you want to go to the New Yorks? Do you wanna be rapping these lines like you belong in the gyms? Do you wanna be heard from the other side of the planet? Do you wanna be dropping bombs with the Al-Qaedas? Something like that. You have to understand that that voice cannot be developed by doing the exact thing you're doing, you know? It has to be like, do you wanna be developing your voice if you start rhyming? Do you understand how hard it is to actually change your voice like this? Yeah, so with that kind of a voice, it's more like a semicircle or a bowl. There's no such, you know, tension over there. Like hear this. Do you wanna be sounding like this? Do you wanna be sounding like this? Do you wanna do the industry a favor and say that you are the voice coach of the Yeah My Man? One of the hardest things is that when you start using a different kind of voice, it requires so much focus that you can't really focus on your words. And it's very hard to also kind of, you know, write for these voices because they work so differently. So you just have to create kind of this repertoire of bullshit. I'm going to be telling ya, my boy, that if you want to be like good in this stuff, you have to be creating a repertoire of bullshit for your voice. Yeah! Be hitting those thumbs ups, my man. This is the voice coaching lesson of today. Yeah! Of course I could do it with a better microphone, but you know, it's so much better to be able to like walk around like this. It's one of those tips, pro tips for ya. I'm pretty good in this stuff already, but you know, pro tip for ya is that you should try to do this stuff while you walk, because all the rhythms, they are in your body, man. All the rhythms, they are in your body, man. Yeah. Okay. I had a very funny voice that brought to mind this, you know, nigger dude with this like kind of comb in his hair, like hair. You know, that it went something like this. Hey Tyler, what is going on? Hey Tyler, what is going on? Have you been smoking any bugs? I know, but you know, for reals, let's try to sound like a nigger next. Okay, this is going to be very hard. Hey, okay, I can't sound like a nigger because I'm not a nigger, you know? But what are you saying, man? I'm not a freaking nigger. What are you saying, man? I'm not a freaking nigger. I'm not from the freaking Bronx or the Hams or the freaking... Yeah. I'm not from the niggers or the... I'm not a freaking nigger or... I'm not a freaking nigger. I'm not from the Bronx. I'm not from the Harlem side. Only wear the trunks. I'm not a nigger, I'm not from the Bronx, I'm not from the Harlem side, I know my stuff. Let's try one more time. I'm not a freaking nigger and I know my freaking stuff. I'm not from the Harlems, the Bronx or the Mafias. I don't know, something like that. I'm not a nigger, so I can't really sound like a nigger. I can't really sound like a nigger. It's not my style to be sounding like a nigger. That was a new one. But it's so funny because when you just do it, you know, there comes new ones all the time. And you might say that, well, can't you just learn this by like just, you know, listening to something and just copying? You know, the fact is that I haven't learned this through like listening, you know. I actually started learning this when I still stopped listening, you know. I started listening to real human voices maybe like a lot more, and maybe that was my key to this. I don't know, but yeah. Let's try again. Look at this shirt. Look at that shirt! It's kind of like a bird. Now, let's take everything that we have learned and let's put it into a speech form. Giving speeches. What's the secret behind the soft voice? I told you in the last video, I believe, that if you really want to sound so very soft, then you really have to be able to tap into those higher frequencies while at the same time having the radar in your lower chest area. Like, oh yeah. You know my lover. You know my girl. When I really want to talk to you and I want you to listen to me so very good, I have to sound so soft, kind of like tofu. You should try that too. But really, if you want to talk to the freaking tough guys, you have to be sounding like you are high on Xanax. You wearing freaking Nikes and you're high on Xanax? You're never gonna win this freaking industry, won't take you in. Man, I have those times when I go in my mind that what I'm gonna say won't ever fucking freaking rhyme. But then it works so good, and I'm just a fool. And man, you freaking know I could be going to the Hollywood. Yeah, fuck man, I'm the best in this world. You're going to be paying me salaries like the millionaires. One practice that you might also consider is breaking the rules of grammar. You know, breaking the rules of grammar, I've noticed has been, you know, the greatest thing that has happened, like related to rhyming, because you will create kind of new pathways to words, you know, and it's kind of the same as creating kind of like new streets in a city. You know, we have a city that is so shittily designed that you have to like loop around the whole fucking city to get from one place to another, you know, from let's say that you have to go like loop around the whole fucking city when you could just, you know, take this alley. And breaking the rules of grammar is kind of like, you know, building up those alleys, you know, it's like good design, basically. Like, it's the same thing as good design, you know? And most of this stuff actually came through good design, you know, that you are right now hearing. Man, I'm going to say to ya that if you want to overcome your autistic, monotonous ways of speech and talk, you have to get yourself some designer brand clothes from Chalandos or Amazon's Go with the Ralph Polos or Paul Smith from Great Britannicas. These are the best brands. No be Nikes anymore! Yeah, my freaking man. As I said, you know, when you really think about that, if you are really capable of like controlling this, it's kind of the same as, you know, a painting that is, you know, very, very kind of deliberate, you know. For example, like this. This is like very every movement is kind of very deliberate, you know. When you see, for example, this, like if I kind of represent this movement with my hand, it's kind of like that, like, you know. And now let's do it like this. You understand? It's very deliberate and kind of style, you know. And what is like, what's the secret between like behind those like hand movements? I'm going to teach you something over here. The secret behind my hand movements, or hand movements in general, I have to be careful so I don't knock off the camera. As you see, hands. Let's say that again. Hands. Again. Hands. Again. Hands. Okay, so tension. The same principle applies to your hands as your voice. And if you think about, for example, the rapping style, do you understand that everything has to rhyme? 1, 2, 3, the crows and the dreams that were shopping in the Chalandes. They had in their hands the gloves that were made out of the same pajamas that the government sold to them when they got their paychecks from their best friend, something like that. You know, doesn't make any sense. What I want to show you over here is just my hand. Look at this movement. Good. Now this. Okay, now this. Now this. The last one is funny. Why? Look at this. This is not funny. This is funny. Oh, no. This is funny. Why is that? Because there's tension in it. That's funny because there's tension in it. Billy, that's not funny. Don't be freaking joking about the niggers. Billy, that's not funny. Don't be joking about those niggers. Let's try that again. Billy, that's not funny. Don't be joking about those niggers. Billy, that's not funny. Okay, now let's take this, you know, like a drunk guy stance. Billy, that's not funny. Don't be joking about those niggas. Yeah. Okay, now let's not do too much of those, you know, stretching things, because I've hurt myself, you know, in the past doing those. But, you know, just hear this. Hey Billy, have you ever been listening to this old band, Dire Straits? I bet those guys, none of them were very straight at all. And man, I don't believe that their lives were dire either, you know? Maybe they had the fucking diarrhea. No, Billy, Billy. Hey Billy, don't be freaking putting your hand into the fire! You know, that kind of stuff. Do you understand that can you imagine anybody telling that joke, you know, with this kind of a voice? Hey Billy, don't be putting your hand into the fire! I bet those freaking guys had a diarrhea! I bet those freaking guys had a diarrhea! You know, it's just in such a fucking contradiction with what you fucking say! You know? Everything you say is in a contradiction with what, Jan? Everything you say is in a contradiction with how you say it. This is just freaking common sense, my man. And that's why you can't be freaking using the same voice all the time. But what I'd really kind of like wish is that I would like be capable of and I could use the best voices all the time, because they are so, well, that voice, it's actually quite strenuous, but, you know, some of the voices you can do you can do all day. Yeah, yeah. Then there's kind of these practices that you can do just to kind of, you know, get your tongue moving, and one of these is this kind of like a machine gun. Ah! Sonic sees diaries! Man, I have the fucking diaries! You understand? Like a diary. You know? This is like my freaking diary! Man, you guys. I hope you learned something from that, and I hope that it was fucking entertaining as shit. yeah, the hand part was kind of, it took me kind of like quite many tries to actually kind of make you understand. It's so subconscious. When you learn to do this, you know, it becomes pretty automatic. Just keep practicing it and get yourself this hat or hat like this and maybe a suit.